Hiya, welcome to LSB Feaster's Aircheck channel, where we keep great radio from the past alive today. We're going to 1974 and 77 WABC with the very first show with George Michael. Now, George was a star in Philadelphia on 56 WFIL from the mid-60s to the mid-70s. George played the hits. George stayed on top of high school sports. Everybody loved George Michael in Philadelphia. And he was good. You rarely ever heard George make a mistake. He was the king of flawless execution. Maybe that's why in Philly we called him King George. Anyway, all of this is probably what got the attention of WABC, who offered him a job in 1974, and he went on up to New York, where he spent the next 5 years handling evenings on WABC. And this air check features George's very first show on WABC. Got to thank my friend Mike McCann for this audio. If you like what you hear, give it a thumbs up, please, please. It helps a lot. And also subscribe to the channel. And feel free to share any of these videos on your social media, your Facebook, your Insta, your Twitter, whatever. Anyway, let's do this. Going back to 1974 with King George Michael on 77 WABC New York.
The best music on WABC New York. George Michael. The best music, WABC. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to September the 9th, 1974. It's 6:03, and I must tell you, I look around, everybody's looking at what's the new guy going to sound like? What's the new guy going to sound like? Is he nervous? You bet your bird I'm nervous. This is WABC Most Music Radio. My name is George Michael. For the first time in 13 years, there's a new voice in town, and I'd like to say good evening and thank you to all those of you who have made the first day here a most pleasant one. I come from Melville, Missouri. I've run up a lot of debts with Ron Lundy over the past 10 years, ran up some money with Dan Ingram and paid him off. That's why he was not here today. He collected some of the money I've owed him for about 10 years. But I always want to thank everybody for letting me be here today and tonight, and thank you also to all the people that sent over that fine bubbly stuff. I drink that, and we're going to have some kind of a show. But you know, I feel good. It's great to be here. My name is George Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L. And we're going to do it every night between the hours of 6 and 10 o'clock on Most Music Radio, WABC. Jim Pankow of Chicago got together with some of his friends, and he fell in love with a new girlfriend. Kind of like the way I feel tonight. You've made New York my home on this first night, and my address is 77 WABC Music Radio. And Chicago put the words to a song, and they said, I hope that the feeling I have today with you will last for an entire lifetime. Jimmy! Music Radio, New York City, I'm George Michael. It's a brand new show. We're going to do it every night, 6 to 10. George Michael, Music Radio. All right. This is Andy Kim, everybody, and he says it's the first time around, so please rock me gently. Welcome to a Monday night on WABC Music Radio, New York City. We'll do it to it up until Chuck Leonard hours. Come around about 10 o'clock tonight. Andy, New York sound of rock and roll. On WABC. WABC. Andy Kim. Your feet, something to smile about. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis. Good evening, everybody. This is George Michael on WABC Music Radio, New York City. A pleasure to have you with us. 77 degrees, cloudy tonight. Low in the mid-60s, partly cloudy tomorrow night with a high of around 80 tomorrow. Now 77 WABC degrees, Monday night, New York City. Well, what we're going to do, Johnny Bristol's got the right idea. Music Radio, WABC. 618 WABC Music Radio. I'm George Michael at 77 degrees, and good evening, everybody. Boy, we got a good show lined up for you tonight. I'll make you one promise. Every night, 6 to 10 o'clock, we'll do it as we have never done it before. Thank you for those of you who have called the telegrams and whatnot. I'm the new guy on the block. Then you walked into my life. This is Dionne Warwick with the Spinners. Music Radio time at 6:22. Good evening on Monday night in New York City. I'm George Michael, and we're going to do a lot of things tonight, some of which will include make some memories come out of the past. I'd like to take you back into the summertime of 1969. Super guy out of Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Stevie Wonder and Sherry, wherever you song, you are my amor. WABC Music Radio at Stevie Wonder, 1969 gold is my Sherry Amor at 625. George Michael!
Mercury's Capri, the sexy European, is the #1 action car at your Lincoln Mercury dealers.
A message about milk from the American Dairy Association of New York.
WABC. Rolling in the pond, watching when I turn to spring.
Roberta Flack is ready for love.
The best music, WABC.
629 WABC Music Time. I'm George Michael. Good evening. The new guy on the block, and Roberta Flack waltzed into the studio saying that. I ask you folks, would you keep your mind on the music? WABC urges you to help emotionally disturbed young adults lead a productive life. Send your contribution to the Woodward Mental Health Center, Post Office Box 509, Freeport, Long Island. 629 WABC Music Time. I mentioned this is my first time at WABC. Some of my friends have been here for a long time. Ron Lundy, who I used to work with years ago, more than he'd like to remember. I was only a kid when I first met him. Dan Ingram, and Dan was not here, as you know, this afternoon. He was a little bit under the weather. That's not really true. The fact of the matter is Dan has collected all the debts that I have owed him over the years. He was last seen with Benny King traveling through Spanish Harlem, and if you know Dan Ingram, he had found himself a magic rose. Welcome to Music Radio.
The music sounds best on WABC. WABC.
That's very wide, everybody, on WABC Music Radio in New York City. I'm George Michael. Can't get enough of your love. And how do I lead into this next one following that? You're having my baby. Thank you. Oh, my God. It's 646 WABC Music Time. I'm George Michael. A Monday night in New York City. Come on in, everybody. Just you, me, and Mick Jagger. Remember, man does not live on bread alone. Get the book. Tell your woman you need satisfaction, Mick. On WABC Music Radio, I'm George Michael. Do you remember what your honeymoon was like? Here it is, folks. My first night at WABC. It's honeymoon all over. I fell asleep the night of my honeymoon. Maybe that's why I'm paying so much alimony. 322 at WABC. I'm George Michael. Music Radio in New York City.
Music Radio, WABC. I shot the sheriff. I did not shoot the music, WABC.
Good evening, everybody. Monday night with George Michael. Doing it with the King. From WABC, I'm George Michael at 6:55. WABC Music Radio time. Cloudy tonight, low in the mid-60s. Partly cloudy tomorrow. And tomorrow night, high of around 80, low in the mid-60s. Now 75 WABC degrees. And since we got a cloudy night, I guess a little loving might be in order, huh?